Senator Lacson, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, after 8 hearings, we have all witnessed allegations of overpriced PPEs, overpriced surgical masks, overpriced face shields or face masks, overpriced test kits, and probably overpriced vaccines. Remember, Mr. Chairman, during our Committee of the Whole hearing, may sinabit po yung DOH na indicative price ng Sinovac vaccines sa Committee on Finance ng Senado. Ang sinasabi nila doon, yung 2 doses ng Sinovac, 3,629.50 or 50 centavos ang 2 doses. Therefore, 1,814 pesos and 25 centavos ang isang dose. Until lumabas yung matrix galing sa Thailand at saka yung sa Indonesia, ang presyo nila under 700. If I'm not mistaken, 683. So, ilan na yung na-procure nating Sinovac vaccines, ilang doses, and we don't know yet kung magkano talaga yung pagkabili natin. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask the OH to explain if there was overpricing also in the procurement of ambulance units, under the HPEP or Health Facilities Enhancement Program funding in 2019. Kasi po, meron kaming nakuha from reliable sources na mukhang may overpricing din yung mga ambulance units with medical equipment. And first, I'd like to ask Secretary Duque, ilan na po ba ang na-procure natin at na-distribute na mga medically equipped ambulance units under the 2019 and if any, under the 2020 HPEP? Yung total po. Secretary Duque, please.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm just looking at my records of 2019 and 2020. For 2019, ambulance 98 units. The distribution is as follows: Cavite 22, Laguna 22, Batangas 19, Rizal 14, and Quezon 21. I have the for Calabarzon, the allocation amount per unit, ang binigay po sa akin dokumento rito is 2.5 million. Land ambulance unit 98, and the total allocation amount is 245 million pesos. So the purchase,
yeah. Go ahead po.
So yung po purchase request, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, number 1910-451 dated October 8, 2019. So ang bidders po dito ay ang SNS Enterprise Incorporated, nakalagay dito disqualified, ineligible, non-submission of JVA, I suppose this means joint venture agreement, and SLC, which is a standby letter of credit. And then the next bidder is was the One Top Medical Systems Resources Incorporated. So disqualified, expired tax clearance of the JVA. Tapos nakalagay po dito, filing of motion for reconsideration. So there are dates here: November 15, November 18, November 21.
Okay, Secretary Duque, how about in other regions? Ilan po yung na-procure at na-distribute? Sa Calabarzon lang kayo nag-distribute?
I'm sure hindi lang po ito Calabarzon, but I'm still looking at the documents right now. Ito po ang ito po sa na-distribute po ito sa CAR 12 units, NCR 102, Region 1 42, Region 2 31, all the way to Barn.
Total na lang po, Secretary Duque, buong Pilipinas, ilan yung units na distribute ninyo sa mga LGUs from
This
the 2019 HFEP funding?
841 po ang numero na binigay sa akin at meron pong breakdown yung ilan yung politics.
Sabit nyo na lang po yung breakdown para
will do that,
mapag-bias
sir.
tayo.
Yes, sir.
Now,
We will do that, sir.
Mr. Chairman, on the screen, ito po yung prototype kasi nung nagkaroon ng interview noong September 4, prototype yung pinakita pero ang actual na deliver ng DOH sa LGU yung nasa kanan sa screen. Now, yung actual donated ambulance, ito po yung presyo. Next slide. 2.5 million. Ngayon, yung LGU, one particular LGU, nag-procure ng sarili. Kinopya niya po yung dinonate ng DOH. Pareho-pareho kasi ang hindi kasama do sa donation yung tinatawag na device defibrillator ano yun?
Defibrillator, Mr. Chairman. Defibrillator.
AED, no? External automatic external defibrillator, AED. Pero yung BLS, yung basic life support, nandyan din lahat. Ang bili ng ang procured price ng LGU na sinasabi ko 1.5 million pesos per unit. So lumalabas na merong overpriced na 1 million per unit. Parehong-pareho kung ano yung dumating sa kanila from DOH, yun din ang kanilang binili. Now, hindi po kami nagkasya doon. Ang ginawa namin, kumuha rin kami ng mga comparative values of land ambulance units. Pareho rin po. So kinuha namin yung procurement ng LGU 1.5, PCSO nag-procure din 1,585,000 plus pesos. Ang private sector, ganun din, bumili rin 1,650,000. Ang tanong ko po, bakit ang layo naman ng diferensya ng presyo pagka DOH ang bumibili compared do sa binila ng mga ibang entities?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ang nakalagay po dito sa akin ay ang difference between the CHD procured ambulance. Ang bumili po nito, Mr. Chairman, Your Honors, ang Region 4A, Calabarzon. Meron po kaming comparative figures and features ng mga ambulansya.
Andiyan na po yan, nasa screen kanina. Yung LGU procured ambulance, kinumpara namin doon sa actual DOH donated ambulance. Wala pong diferensya yan kasi kinopya nila. Kasi yung dumating sa kanila, although nakalista na dapat na doon yung AED, pero dito sa pinadala sa kanila, walang AED. So yung sa kanilang binili, wala ring AED. So pareho-pareho.
Mr. Chairman, I have with me here the listing that I would love to share. Yung kasi nakalagay sa binili ng Region 4A, 30 klase ng mga equipment ang nakalagay po dito. Bibigay po namin sa inyo yung listahan.
Ayan na po, nasa screen na. Yung parang equipment ng DOH donated units plus equipment at saka yung LGU ambulance o yung procured ng LGU, pareho-pareho po yung laman nila kasi kinopya nga po. Anyway, we're talking of 841 units. Ano? So easily, nawala na noon yung gobyernong 841 million pesos kung 1 million yung diferensya. Ang sabi ko nga po, hindi lang kami nagkasya doon sa LGU procured price. Kumuha rin kami ng comparison doon sa private sector, private entity, pati yung sa PCSO. Talagang hindi naglalalayo sa 1 million ang diferensya ng binili ng DOH. So yun po yung sana maipaliwanag at para mapagbigyan natin yung mga ibang kasamahan ko rin, sana maipaliwanag nyo lang siguro in writing. Ano? Now, yung specifications na andyan, alam nyo, pag bumili yung private sector, tingi-tingi ang tawag natin doon, retail. So pagka in bulk or fleet ang binili nyo, I suppose, mas mura pa dapat ang pagkabili ninyo. Ito po yung laman, no? Yung automated external defibrillator, ang presyo nga 100,000, kinodo na namin to eh. Ang lumalabas, 174,450. So, pati yung sasakyan, talagang hindi po aabot ng 2.5 million. So, ito po yung gusto maliwanagan ng komite. Bakit lagi na lamang pagka yung gobyerno bibili, in this particular case, yung DOH o PS-DBM, bakit talagang napakamahal ng presyo ninyo kumpara sa iba? So, isa lang ang pwede natin makonklude dito. Pagka may overpricing, hindi po ba may kumikita?
Mr. Chairman, salamat po. Ito pong dokumentong nasa harap ko, 30 ang bilang ng mga equipment na kasama doon sa DOH Region 4A procurement. Samantalang ito pong pinakita nyo kanina, parang asa 17. Kung pwede ko ipakita ulit, Mr. Chairman. 17 na yan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
174,450.
Na binibilang ko po
yung yan, Secretary Duque, pinag-aralan na ng staff ko yan.
Yes, sir.
I-compare nyo kung ano yung equipment na nasa loob ng inyong ambulansya, pareho ng nasa loob ng na equipment doon sa mga pinrocure ng LGU, private sector, at saka yung, hindi ako sigurado sa PCSO, pero at least yung private sector at saka yung LGU, kasi kinopya nga po nila exact replica.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we will submit to you the details of the documents that have been submitted to my office. And hindi ko po alam yung mga detalye kasi mga iba rito dahil yung brand, hindi ko po alam kung ano yung kanilang mga iba pang pagkakaiba.
Ang brand po pareho, lahat ng brand. Kung ano yung binili niyo, pareho ng binili noong pinapakita namin sa screen. Wala hong diferensya. Kami na nagsasabi sa inyo kasi masusi namin pinag-aralan ito.
Yes, sir.
So, ang gusto ko sana marinig sa inyo, paimbestigahan ninyo tulad
yes, sir. Of course, sir.
overstocking, expired, nearing expiry. Ang pinadala nyo sa aming explanation, parang dinitalyo nyo lamang. Pero alam niyo, Secretary Duque, hindi ko na nga inumpisan sa 2016 yung overstocking, yung mga drugs at saka medicines. Sinimulan ko na nga ng 2013 para lang sabihin natin hindi mai-highlight para maipakita na baka naman yung sindikato quote unquote sa loob ng DOH na-outlive na nila yung mga sekretaryo na pag may dumating na bago sekretary, entrance talaga yung sindikato kasi nandiyan lagi ang overpricing. Yung po sanang gusto naming matingnan ninyo ng maayos para ma-uproot at saka matanggal yung sindikato sa loob ng departamento. Kasi nga, pre-pandemic at saka during the pandemic, parang hindi nagbabago yung pagbili ng mga expired medicines, tapos yung overpricing. Yung sana po gusto kong ang hinihiling namin sa inyo, nagawa nyo ng karampatang aksyon. Di ba po yung unang-unang pagdinig natin, yan na yung hiningi ko sa inyo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will do that, sir.
Sana po.
Yes, sir. Maraming salamat po doon sa inyong recommendation at sisiguraduhin ko pong matutukan ito, Mr. Chairman, Your Honors.
Yan, nabanggit na rin po noon na ayoko maniwala na kasapakat kayo doon sa kung meron man sindikato. At sana inaasahan ko na gawan nyo ng paraan na ma-uproot, ma-expose at mahinto yung sindikato sa DOH. Yan po pagkakausap nyo yung mga taga-DOH mismo at saka yung mga sabihin nating mga nagsusupply, alam naman nila na talagang merong nag-exist yan na hindi kanais-nais, lalo na sa area ng procurement. So, yun po, Mr. Secretary.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman. Tututukan po natin ito at titingnan ko rin po kung meron po kayong mga dokumentong hawak, makakatulong po sa amin na makapag-umpisa nitong mga pagsisiyasat nitong kung meron nga bang sindikato rito sa departamento. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Now, shifting to another topic, Mr. Chairman, if I still have the time. Yung sa Tiger Field, may we know from the Tiger Field representative kung ano yung total amount of sales earned by Tiger Field in relation to its transactions with Pharmally in 2020?
Mr. Albert C. Tigerfield. Tigerfield.
Ano?
Ito, Albert C.
Yes, ano?
There is a question from Senator Lacson. Can you please raise your voice a bit? Go ahead, Senator
Yes,
Lacson.
ano?
Yes, total amount of sales earned by Tiger Field to sa Pharmally, yung transaction siya with Pharmally in 2020.
21,510,000.
21,510,000.
510,000.
Kasi if we look at your audited financial statement for year 2020, yung declared amount of sales, nasa 3.479 million lang. When in fact, you have sold face masks to Pharmally amounting to at least, yes, 25 million, 21.5 million pesos. Can you explain this discrepancy, Mr. C?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, between 3.479 million doon sa inyong audited financial statement for 2020, malaki diferensya nito doon sa 21.5 million. So kindly explain.
Mr. Chairman, nabayaran na po namin ngayon araw yung amended VAT return at yung amended annual.
Ngayong araw lang na ito.
Opo, Mr. Chairman.
So how much tax did you pay in relation to this transaction?
553,886.88 amended VAT return.
Amended.
Annual income tax return 1,138,680.5 po, Mr. Chairman.
Now, if the Blue Ribbon Committee did not conduct the hearing, would you pay the amended tax returns or
We
payment?
already paid.
Would you have amended if the Blue Ribbon Committee did not conduct hearings on Pharmally?
Yes po, Your
Kasi
Honor.
ngayon lang araw kayo nag-amend.
Opo, Your Honor, nagbayad po.
So, kindly give us an honest answer. Kung hindi po nagkaroon ng pagdinig na ganito, would you have paid or would you have amended?
We will pay. We will pay.
You will, pa rin.
Opo.
Eh, why just now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why just now? It's not answerable by yes or no. Ang tanong is why?
Nagbayad po kami.
Never mind, Mr. C. Hindi mo rin masasagot yan eh.
With the permission of Senator Lacson,
Yes, sir.
may I call on the BIR Commissioner? You have already issued and closed down all the auditing by the BIR. Is that correct, sir? May I have the BIR Commissioner, please? Na-audit nyo na po ito eh. Kung na-audit nyo na, hindi na sila pwede mag-amend. Tama po ba yan, sir?
Tama po yan. Kung they have just a certain period to amend the return, if it's out of that period, then hindi na sila pwedeng mag-amend, pwede nang kasuhan yan.
Ayan. Dapat po kasuhan nyo na. Talagang they're trifling with our laws. Di po ba?
We're auditing them, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you po. Thank you. So Albert, nagsisinungaling ka. Na-audit na kayo. Pagkatapos ngayon, pinapalitan mo. Pagkatapos ka ma-audit. Dahil ba na-imbestiga kayo? Albert C., please. Remember, you already are going to be audited and investigated. Tapos under oath ka, pag nagsinungaling ka pa rito, meron ka pang tatamaan ka pa ng ano sagot? False testimony, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I asked that question if only to, underscore the importance of these hearings that you are conducting under your leadership, under your chairmanship. Kasi, ayan, humabol sila, maski pa paano nagbayad, maski may kaso na rin. So, hindi totoong wala nangyayari sa mga pagdinig natin dito, Mr. Chairman.
Totoo po yan. In fact, sir, I raised that issue last time and this guy was very evasive. And if you look at the way he's behaving, napaka-halting ng answer. Talagang binago talaga nila. Mabibisto sila eh. O, talagang
This is
hindi
the
nyo
first time.
minamahalagaan ang gobyerno.
Mr. Chairman, this is the first time na nakarinig ako ng sagot na yes sa tanong na why.
Well,
Anyway, Mr. Chairman, inaaliw na lang natin sarili natin dito. Now,
yun ako,
Mr.
yun,
Lau
masakit-
and
sakit sa
Mr.
mga tao
Ong,
eh.
Tony Lau
Sige
and
po.
Mr. Ong. Sabi ni Mr. Ong, he met for the first time with Mr. Lau sa PS-DBM on March 24. Mr. Ong, do you confirm this?
Yes po.
Okay. Now, that was the first time, probably the first and only time that you met with Attorney Lau, correct?
If I may recall, yes po.
Okay. Now, PS-DBM emailed a request for quotation for 5 lots of surgical masks. One of the lots, yun yung mag-supply ng 500,000 masks with Pharmally won, di ba? 500,000. Ang unit per price 28, di ba? Yun ang base price na binigay ng PS-DBM. At yung contract, merong approved budget na 8 million pesos. Correct?
Yes po.
Now, in a matter of 2 hours and 55 minutes, kasi between 2 2:24 and 5:19 p.m., tinanong ito ni Chairman Gordon, naka-deliver na agad kayo ng 500,000 surgical masks at 27.72 per piece or a sum of 13,860,000 pesos. Ayan, nandyan. Ano? Now, ang tanong dito is, sino yung na-contact ni Miss Bago sa PS-DBM? Exactly, kasi palitan ng email ito eh. Ang bilis ka ng email, delivery ka agad. No, and I forgot to ask Mr. C. Lumabas kanina na fictitious yung address ng Green Trends, ano? So how were you able to contact Green Trends na fictitious yung address? Yung aming OSA, yung aming Director General, hindi nga malocate yung address. Paano nyo na-contact yung Green Trends para masupplyan kayo ng face mask?
Mr. Chairman, ang kausap ko po si Tigerfield.
No,
I'm not aware.
No, Mr. Ong, the question is addressed to Albert C. Albert C., please answer.
Sorry po.
Mr. Albert C. Mr. Albert C. Ang camera.
Mr. Chair, can we answer? Yeah, we would like to answer on behalf of Mr. Albert C.
No. The question is addressed to Albert C.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ayun naman. Your
Anong
Honor,
sagot mo, Albert C.?
si Kay Jinking po ang kausap ni Lincoln Ong.
Sino ang kausap niya?
Si Kay Jinking po. Tiger.
Senator Lacson, sige na. Binapasa na naman yung bola. Would you accept the question, the answer to be given by an imported Chinese player from China? By the name of...
Lahat naman ng sagot, Mr. Chairman, not acceptable eh.
Oo nga eh. Si
Now,
Kwan,
Miss Mago.
kilala pa ng taga-China yung supplier kaysa dito sa kay Albert C.
Now, as you pointed out correctly, Mr. Chairman, kung dumirekta lang yung PS-DBM do sa green trends, magkano na sana natipid doon sa 500,000 masks? Kasi tumubo yung tumubo yung Tiger Field, tumubo rin yung Pharmally, di ba? Isang 1.9 million, isa 2.5 or 2.9 million. So yun sana natipid ng gobyerno. So yung Pharmally lang ang maliwanag na may contact kasi sila nakaalam kagad na nangangailangan ng medical supplies yung PS-DBM na dapat nabalitaan din ng Tiger Field or even Green Trends kung talagang existing yung Green Trends.
That is assuming that Mr. Lincoln Ong is telling the truth. Because
Yes,
yes, tama kayo sa tanong nyo, Senator Lacson, in 3 hours, naka-deliver sila. Hahanapin mo pa itong si Tigerfield, tapos hahanapin mo pa itong si Green Trends na hindi natin makita. Ngayon, makaka-deliver ka agad ng 3 hours. Now, Lincoln Ong, you're obviously lying.
Yes, at the time when Attorney Lau and even Mr. Lincoln Ong claimed that there was scarcity of supply of face masks. Di ba yan ang unang hearing natin, yun ang sinabi nila? Kaya pumatol sila sa mataas ng presyo. Now, it appears na hindi ganun ka-scarce yung supply. Kasi nga in a matter of under 3 hours, naka-deliver Ready yung supply.
Lincoln, kung ikaw magsabi ka na ng totoo at lalabas lahat siya, marami pa kami itatanong sa'yo, mas mahirap.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, kasi alam nyo, pagka patuloy na nagsisinungaling si Mr. Lincoln Ong, well, the committee might decide to transfer him to Pasay City Jail instead of enjoying life here in the Senate.
That's correct.
So I would suggest strongly to Mr. Ong to when you sleep tonight, medyo pag-isipan mo mabuti kung medyo ibabangon mo yung iyong sabihin natin yung sarili mo to see the light para kung magkaroon tayo ng sunod na pagdinig, I would suggest that you tell the truth, the whole truth kasi yun ang oath mo When you first took your oath, when you were administered your oath, sinabi mo to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Anyway, for Mr. Mago, Miss Mago, I'm sorry. Yeah, di ba you received the email from PS-DBM?
Yes, po, Your Honor.
Okay. Who was your direct contact sa PS-DBM?
Based on our records, Mr. Chairman, the email came from Mr. Patrick Magpantay.
Patrick Magpantay.
Yes, po.
Now, ang sunod na tanong ko sa iyo, Miss Mago, why did you still respond to PS-DBM's email when the day before you already delivered what was asked of your company? What was your purpose in still sending that response to PS-DBM? It's all
Mr.
water under
Chair.
the bridge because naka-deliver na kayo, di ba?
Yes, po, Mr. Chairman.
But why did you have to respond pa?
Yes, I responded to the RFQ email based on the instructions of our management po.
No, kanina merong claim, yung napanood nyo naman siguro yung video na pinalabas ni Senator Ontiveros, di ba? And your name was
Yes.
prominently mentioned. How would you respond to that?
Mr. Chairman, I would have to watch the video again because I believe there are a few or even more allegations that I'm not sure if I heard it correctly. But then with the regards to the changing of the stickers of the items, my response would be that this was a supply concern. I raised this concern to our management and that was the solution that was given to us.
Mr. Chairman, with the permission, she therefore confirms that they actually were doing it.
Yes,
With the
Mr.
permission of-
Chairman.
Go ahead.
That is something
she
that I
admitted?
cannot deny.
Senator Pangilinan.
She
No,
admitted.
I just made a manifestation, and with the permission of the Senator Lacson, I'm just placing on record. She just admitted that they were actually switching the expiry dates because that was, as I understand, instructions of management. Palitan yung expiry date from 2020 to 2021. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is something that I cannot deny.
So you were swindling the government. Ms. Mago,
Mute mo.
I believe so, Mr. Chairman.
excuse me?
I believe that is the case, Mr. Chairman.
So you admit that you and Pharmally were swindling the government. Niloloko nyo ang taong Pilipino. Nahuli ka na ni Senator Lacson. Nahuli ka na ni Senator Pangilinan. Nahuli ka na namin. Meron pa ako itatanong sa'yo. Baka lalong mahulog ka na dyan sa silya mo.
As a follow-up, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go
who
ahead, sir.
ordered you to give that instruction to the warehouse man? Since you admitted already that you gave the instruction, now who instructed you to give that instruction? I suppose it was not on your own initiative that you gave that instruction, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, who
The
instructed you?
instructions came from our management po.
Who
What?
particularly?
I received the instructions from the PPC management, particularly Mr. Mohit Dargani.
Mohit
Oh, it
Gargani.
was Mohit. Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
She said she received instructions from Mohit Gargani, sir. That means Mohit Gargani is now a principal also. Yes, Senator Pangilinan.
Yes, with the permission of Senator Lacson, were there other items apart from medical grade face shields wherein you likewise were instructed to change the expiry date, Ms. Maga?
Mr. Chairman, if my memory serves me right, I believe it is only for this project, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, that is if your memory serves you right. In other words, you could be wrong or your memory may be failing, but in fact, there were others. You are probably not sure, you don't know for a fact.
Please allow me some time to verify po the details of our other projects, and
Yes. In other
I will
words,
get back to you.
yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Grace, you're a Filipino.
Yes po, Mr. Chairman.
You're a Filipino. I think you're a good lady who wants to get up in life. Nasama ka dyan sa mga mayayaman na tao na kayang mabuhay ng sarili nila. Ikaw, you're still struggling, I suppose. And I have other evidence that I'm going to confront you with. So, kung pwede lang, kung natin pahabain, dahil sinasabi ng presidente na kami mga nagluloko rito, walang mangyayari dito, sinungaling kami, tumulong ka na sa bayan. Bayan na ang pinag-uusapan dito talaga, Iha.
Yes po, Mr. Chairman. I'm very willing to cooperate po.
Yung tinatanong ni Mr. Pangilinan, Senator Pangilinan. Go ahead.
Yes, and with that manifestation, Mr. Chairman, perhaps we can request the Senate President and the Sergeant at Arms, if it's possible, to provide security for Ms. Mago, should she be willing to fully cooperate. Earlier, Ms. Mago, sabi ni Senator Lacson, the whole truth. Hindi naman sinabing, do you swear to tell part of the truth? Hindi ba?
The whole,
Kasi you're telling part of the truth. Inamin mo na meron kang na inutos sa'yo na palitan yung mga expiry dates from 2020 to 2021 ng mga face shield na ibinigay sa ating mga frontliners kasi medical grade yun eh. So maaari dahil yung ganong klaseng quality ay substandard, maaari merong mga nurse at mga doktor na nagka-COVID at namatay dahil sa substandard na dapat sanay medical grade na face shields dahil nga pinalitan ng expiry date at binigay yung quality na hindi tama. Kaya yon inamin mo na. Diyan pa lang ay meron ka ng pananagutan. Pero kung ikaw ay magiging telling the whole truth, then we might be able to provide you, or we should be able to provide you the necessary security to protect you as you cooperate. I yield the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Pangilinan. Senator Lacson, would you have another question? Because I'd like to confront her also. Go ahead.
Sir, I would just like to be clarified further, no? Kasi yung first contract, diba 12 days after the supplies were delivered, saka pa lang lumabas yung purchase order, no? So my question is it a regular practice in PS-DBM that deliveries precede the release of the purchase order? Ang pagkaalam ko sa purchase order, ito yung contract eh. So ito yung na-perfect na yung kontrata. That's the reason why a PO is released. But if we look at the timelines, 12 days after ng delivery, saka pa lang na-release yung PO. So my question is, and this may be answered by either Mr. Ong, kung meron silang experience in the past, regular practice ba ito? Or even PS-DBM, if they can respond. So, is it the first time that you issued the PO after the delivery of the supplies had been made? Anybody? Mr. Ong or PS-DBM?
Mr. Chairman, Lloyd Lau po.
Attorney Lau? Yes, please.
Mr. Lau, this scenario kasi happened when the letter of instruction was sent to us, a letter of intent was sent to us by Mr. Ong, stating that they have on hand items. This is similar to what happened dun sa 50,000 na initial na nabili natin na surgical face mask as early as I think March. Basta mauna yun si ano eh. I'll just get the record. I think nauna to si I'll just give me 1 second. Si ano po, si New Life at around 50,000 and si Pharmally 100,000. Nauna po to. March 2020 si New Life. When they bring the items to us, they would show na, oh, meron kaming on hand if you want to buy. So, pinapakita nila sa amin. 50,000 is just a little. So, pwede nilang iuwi. Yung kay Pharmally po, on the 24th, nagpadala silang letter of instruction. Their offer was 900,000 pieces and on hand siya. So, since March 9 until March 24, 50,000 lang ang nakuha namin na nabili namin. So it's a very long time. It's very frustrating for our office. So when he offered, I made a challenge. O sige, if it's on hand, show it to me. In fact, I was expecting that they would show it on March 24. They delivered it on March 25 after office hours. Ni-receive ng mga staff namin. And I was informed, sir, may pinakita talaga dito items. Ang dami pala ng volume na pinakita. So sabi ko, sige. But sabihin nyo, we have to follow the process. So the process was continued. Since they participated in the procurement process of PS-DBM, dun lang sila nanalo. After April 6, on April 6. So dun lumabas ang contract. So yung delivery nila is not actually a document that we issued to them. They let us sign an unofficial document na meron silang iniwan. So there is no commitment on PS-DBM to get it or not. Kasi we have to process it. The problem kasi during that time is we are running on the system under RA 9184, but we are already procuring under emergency procurement. Then we are also procuring on March 25. Nag-ano na tayo, naging bayanihan. So ang problema doon, everybody does not know that much on the system. So pati yung iCar namin, i-explain ng mga tao namin what happened, yung inspection and certification acceptance report. Kaya April 6 na siya lumabas kasi inantay yung process. So nung lumabas na siya talaga panalo, na-issue yung notice of award, na-issue yung PO, that's the time we utilize the items and made use of it na binenta natin sa mga government agencies, NGAs, LGUs, which in fact during that time naubos din. Mabilis na ubos yan. The items we procured in April was actually consumed in April. Now,
Attorney,
ano lang,
let
yes.
me cut you short. Sorry, no?
I understand.
para makapagtanong din yung iba. So all this discussion took place on March 24 when for the very first time you and Mr. Ong met in PS-DBM. Itong
Yeah.
narrate mo na discussion, it all took place on March 24 when Mr. Ong first met you in your office.
Yeah, actually, that was the
You're
challenge.
very comfortable with the commitment.
Ano
You
po?
accepted the challenge in spite of meeting Mr. Ong for the very first time.
No,
Naniwala ka agad na
I
sige,
made,
mag-deliver kayo, maski walang PO, at babayaran kayo.
no, I did not make an offer to pay. I challenged him when he said, meron kaming on hand. And I said, oh, pakita mo kung totoo. It's the same thing with New Life because that's what they offered. Now, I'll just make it clear, Mr. Chairman, na like the procurements we had, like this one, is on hand. Kasi yung DOH kasi na April 18 na award or April 20 na award, April 20, 2020 na award na 3 million pieces at 16 pesos, the delivery was actually made on May 18 and May 19, 2020, a month after.
Mr.
So
Chair,
it's the same type of procurement that we had with EMS at 30.
Mr. Lau, you're going into all sorts of directions, which is a sign of a wriggling worm.
No,
yes, Mr. Chair.
Ikot-ikot ka na eh. Senator, mga Pangilinan?
Yes, very quickly, Mr. Chair. Again, his earlier manifestations in previous hearings about the effectivity of Bayanihan 1, about Republic Act 9184. Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, I suggest we get a matrix and put them together. It will establish that Mr. Lao has been inconsistently mouthing different laws, different legal arguments, moving from one to the other and trying to mislead this committee, Mr.
Thank you very much, Senator Pangilinan. We don't have to, but it's obvious that
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Chair.
Lau is trying to wiggle himself out of this situation. The fact is, they paid it. They paid it. Ang bandang huli, they paid it. Yun lang ang pinag-uusapan dito, binayaran lang nang wala silang chinecheck. Yun ang talagang kwan, gross negligence. Yun ang nakalagay sa anti-graft law. At nakalagay sa lahat ng rules and regulations. Dapat, kahit na nagmamadali kayo, hindi tinanggal yung due diligence. Alright? Yun ang malinaw. Lacson?
Last point, para mapagbigyan yung mga ibang kasama natin, Mr. Chairman. Ito, I'm flashing on the screen yung September 13 testimony ni Attorney Lau. Ano? Attorney Lau said that the office, that the PS-DBM was shocked when Pharmally delivered the masks on March 25. He also said, no, and I would like to quote, no, hindi namin bibilin yan, but at least you have proof that you were able to deliver. That's it. But in spite of that, they paid.
Now,
Correct.
there is no
Correct.
commitment to buy it when it was delivered because that was show of proof and they have to follow the process. Now, based on the process, sila ang nanalo on one lot. That's why they were awarded on an issue and notice of award and purchase order on April 6. So based on the process, syempre kung manalo sila, they will be paid. But they got paid, I think, April 17 or April 20. I'm not sure when they were paid, but they were paid much later after po na
April
process.
15. April 15.
Yes, April 15. April 15.
Of course, you did that kahit ang kapital nila 625,000.
Yes, Mr. Chair,
did that.
because the point is that that we need the items
Kahit na
fast.
625,000 lang, tinanggap mo, binayaran mo, kahit na saan ka sumuot, 625,000 lang ang kapital. Abogado ka eh.
Yes, sir.
Ano ka? Hindi ka na nag-iisip?
I was using my common sense. They have the items with them.
Common sense is part of the law?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
this is common sense. Ano? After saying that he would not pay for it, instead of paying them 8 million under the RFQ, no? Ang binayaran 13.87 million. That's common sense, Mr. Chairman.
Labag sa kalooban niya yan, Senator Lacson. Napilitan lang siya.
Let me clarify.
I yield the floor to the next interpolator. So para lahat tayo may pagkakataon na magtanong.
I'd like to go back to Grace Mago, please. Grace Mago, if with the permission of Senator Lacson, please don't leave us, Secretary, because you're the one who started this thing with Grace Mago and along with Senator Pangilinan. Grace, you look like a very, very good lady. You know, alam kong mahirap ang buhay. You want to get a leg up on everybody and may pagkakataon na talagang dito, ano yan eh, may trabaho ka, mga mayayaman yung pinagtatrabaho mo, eh, sumunod ka lang sa kanila, di ba? May choice ka ba? Sumunod ka lang sa kanila, di ba?
Mr. Chairman, I am an employee po.
Excuse me?
I am an employee po, so I
I know
have
you're
to follow
employed. Kaya
instructions.
sinabi ko nga sa'yo, nagtatrabaho ko dyan sa mga mayayaman na yan. Ang totoo niyan, inamin mo na ginawa ninyo yun, yung mga expired, pinapapalitan nyo, hindi mo naman gagawin yun eh, kung matinong babae ka eh. Pero, ang totoo niyan, nahikayat ka, sayang yung trabaho ko, ha? At sige, susundin ko na lang. Totoo ba yan? Rich?
I'm sorry,
Question
Mr.
last time,
Chairman, what
because
was
I'm
the
about to
question
confront
po?
you with something. I don't want to do that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I wasn't able to understand the question po. If
Grace, ikaw nagtatrabaho ka, masipag na tao ka, magaling ka magsalita, magaling ka mag-computer, kasama mo ay talagang malalaking tao, magaganda ang mga kotse, nasa magandang tahanan, eh, nakakita sila ng pagkakataon talagang sibasibin yung ating bayan. Hindi mo siguro pa alam yun at that time, pero sabi niya, sige na, konti lang ito, pumayag ka na. Meron pa ba silang inutos sa iba? Para makatulong ka na sa amin. Alam ko makakatulong ka sa amin.
Mr. Chairman,
Ayoko ikaw may ipit eh.
Mr. Chairman, I earlier requested for some time to verify a few details regarding the request of Senator Pangilinan.
Well, napakasimple lang ng mga tanong. Pag-iisipan pa ba yan? Meron bang ibang pagkakataon na inutusan ka pa gawin yan? Tingnan mo kanina may napakita si Senator Ontiveros. Ha? Lalabas yan. Sabihin, pinapalitan yung mga face mask, lukot-lukot. Ang dumi-dumi, hinahawakan. Ngayon, lumabas naman ito, pinapalitan yung expiry date. Ganun rin yung sa kabila. Ikaw rin ang tinuturo sa kabila. Dalawa na yan. Oh. Gusto bang mapasubo ng husto? Ayoko naman mapasubo ka. Where did you
Apo,
graduate, by the way? Saan ka nag-graduate? Anong eskwela?
I graduated from St. Paul University, Philippines po.
My wife went to St. Paul's. Good school. I used to serve mass there. Nagsisimba. Nung bata ako, mimisa sila Father Reuter dyan. Ako sa Kristan. Alright? My
Mr.
wife was in the dorm in St. Paul's in Iran. Doon ka ba sa Iran? Yeah?
Sa main campus po, sa Cagayan Valley.
Cagayan Valley. Magaling rin yun. Kasama yan. Mga St. Paul nuns, di ba? May
Mr.
Yes
tita
po.
pa
Chairman,
ako, may auntie ako na madre.
Mr. Chairman,
So, yes.
my wife went to St. Paul.
Right. And
Mr.
Senator Lacson,
Chairman.
and your wife go to St. Paul also.
No, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just to close my interpellation, at least in the segment, I'd like to ask Mr. Dargani, do you
Sige, go ahead.
confirm
Yes. Si
that
Grace.
you
Grace,
gave
pag-isipan mo, Grace, ha?
Mago?
Yes
Yeah,
po,
go ahead,
Mr. Chairman.
Dargani.
Okay,
Do
sige,
you
thank you.
confirm that you gave instruction to Miss Mago as she stated earlier?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I would like to say that actually the instruction did not come from me. I believe it was Crizel asked it in our group if if this is doable. But if the instruction came from me, it did not come from me, Your Honor.
So it's either you or Miss Mago ang nagsisinungaling.
Maybe
Isa
it's
lang,
in Miss Mago's
magkaiba
memory.
statement niyo, either
I
one
think-
of you is telling a lie.
I think for Miss Mago, I think because she always used to getting instructions from me, maybe in this scenario, she named
Okay,
me,
Miss Mago,
but it's not the case.
Miss Mago, please.
Yes
Do you
po.
stand by your earlier statement that you were instructed by Mr. Dargani to give the instruction to the warehouse man?
Mr. Chairman, I always follow instructions po. But allow me to check also on our records or conversations to verify this po. But generally po, as an employee, I always follow instructions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just earlier you said it was Mr. Dargani, Miss Maga. Ngayon you're saying you're following instructions. So are you also changing again your testimony? I mean, baka pwede naman nating Di ba? Ano ba talaga yung totoo? Kasi pabago-bago eh. Si Mr. Dargani ba nagsabi sa iyo o hindi?
I am not changing my statement, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
So
So
it
Mr.
was Mr.
Dargani,
Dargani, all right?
yes, Mr. Dargani is, Mr. Chairman, the good lady here has made an admission against interest. And under jurisprudence, as we lawyers are familiar, admission against interest carries a lot of weight.
That's correct.
And Mr. Gargani, on the other hand, is making a general denial. And we all also know as lawyers that a general denial is very,
Very weak.
very weak. Perhaps, Mr. Dargani, you can rethink your answer because that is, again,
I hope you realize, Mr. Bergani, that you are in deep water already. And I
Yes, Your Honor.
you will cooperate because you cannot lie your way out already. I would suggest that you tell the truth already. And I'm not trying to sweet talk you. It is very important at this point in time. Whatever you said under oath will be taken by another, and this time in a court of law, in a criminal proceeding.
Yes, Your Honor. Like what I said, the instructions did not come from me. I know that I'm under the oath, and I'm speaking the truth here, Your Honor, that no instructions came from me.
On two occasions, your name has been brought up, one in the warehouse and now this one. Okay, it's up to you. All right.
I think as mentioned also by that witness who we don't even know and we're willing to face head on. He did not. He only mentioned that we only saw him, or he saw me only once. I don't even know who he is.
Don't
Mr.
worry, we
Chairman,
will present that witness, right,
Mr.
Senator Ontiveros? We will present that witness. Don't
yes,
worry.
yeah, Mr. Chairman, just a quick manifestation on the point raised by Mr. Dargani. Excuse me, Mr. Dargani, but
Yes.
your employee already admitted to doing it, to instructing it. So you're trying to question the testimony earlier or the manifestation earlier of that witness.